Under the pale winter sun in the waning days of the year, James's small farm became the backdrop for a tender love story between him, a wealthy CEO, and Diep, a poor woman once abandoned by her husband. As James put the finishing touches on the farm to realize his agricultural dream, he also brought new hope to Diep, soothing the old wounds inflicted by Pau, the cruel ex-husband. On New Year's Eve, they welcomed the coming year together, though Diep's painful memories still lingered, and Lynn, her compassionate friend, continued to be a quiet bridge between them. In episode 23, discover the journey of love that transcends the boundaries of wealth and poverty, where James and Diep find each other amid life's hardships. Early in the morning, the biting winter air filled the modest storefront of C Company in Tan Minh village, a humble one-story building with a faded silver tin roof nestled amid vast fields. Surrounding the building were dewy beds of lush green vegetables, each droplet sparkling like a tiny jewel in the fragile dawn light. A thick fog shrouded the entrance, and the approximately 39 DGF, 4 DGC, cold seeped through the gaps in the old wooden door. Every breath of the workers turned to mist in the quiet space, blending with the rustling sound of the wind through the dry trees outside, and carrying a hint of the damp earth from distant fields. James strode in, his tall frame enveloped in a heavy grey coat, and his leather shoes, still bearing a trace of fresh soil and dry grass from the farm, told the story of hard work. Yet his eyes shone warmly as he took in the scene of busy workers sorting grapefruit. Grade A fruits, large and glossy like golden orbs. Grade B fruits, moderately sized with slightly rough skin yet firm. And Grade C fruits, petite and neatly arranged in well-worn bamboo baskets. The agile hands of the workers moved deftly among the piles of fruit, as laughter mingled with the creaking of bamboo baskets and the soft rustle of wrapping paper, painting a lively portrait against the quiet winter day, much like a cheerful melody amid a wintry stillness. Clapping his hands lightly to cut through the ambient noise of the workplace, James's deep, warm voice carried like a breath of spring in the middle of winter. Good morning, everyone. Today is our last working day before the Tet holiday. Let's wrap up and head home early so you can all prepare for a warm family reunion and a truly joyful new year. The workers looked up, their sun-kissed faces lighting up with joy and smiles spreading wide as they heard his words. The wrinkles on their foreheads seemed to soften, as if they were momentarily relieved of a year's burden. Good morning, boss. Thank you. Reaching into his coat pocket, James pulled out a stack of red lucky envelopes, their glossy paper glimmering softly under the weak yellow light from the hanging bulbs that gently swayed with each draft. With a sincere smile, he said, "For Tet 2025, I have a small gift for all of you. I wish you a new year full of health, happiness, and time with your loved ones. A new year that makes these cold days a bit warmer and more complete." He went from person to person, handing out envelopes into calloused hands that had known hard labor, the rough fingers warmly meeting his. Their grateful voices chimed like a joyful song. "Thank you, boss. Wishing you a prosperous new year and even greater success." One older woman, her gentle eyes twinkling with delight, clasped his hand tightly and said in a trembling tone, "You're so kind, boss. This Tet warms our hearts. We can now buy a few gifts for the kids at home." James nodded, a sense of quiet pride swelling within him as he saw the genuine bond he shared with his team. These hard-working folks were not just employees, they were partners on his journey to build a sustainable agricultural dream in his homeland, a place where he had poured his heart even after long years away. Turning his attention to Tao, the statistics officer, James said in a steady yet gentle tone, like an elder brother in the family, "Kiao, where did Lin go? I haven't received the complete figures. I need the data to review before the break so everyone can leave without any worries." Tao, a middle-aged woman with thick glasses sliding down her nose, adjusted them with her rough finger and replied, a bit embarrassed, "Boss, Lin has taken a few days off due to a family emergency. Her mother is seriously ill and has been in the hospital for a few days. She asked me to pass on a message, but I completely forgot." "I'm sorry, boss." James nodded with a hint of understanding in his eyes as he thought of Lin, the devoted secretary who had worked by his side through thick and thin. In a gentle tone, he added, "That's all right. Please let her know her family's health comes first. And Tao, make sure you finish the grapefruit counts for December 30th and 31st so everyone can enjoy Tet without financial worries." Tao's eyes brightened with gratitude as she responded firmly, "Yes, boss. I'll get right on it this morning so you can relax with your family." James surveyed the neatly arranged piles of golden grapefruit on the long wooden table, their soft light from the window enhancing their vibrant hue, as if they were gifts from the land, nurtured by his hard-working team over the year. Standing for a moment with his hands clasped to warm them, the chill of his thick coat causing a slight shudder. James's eyes wandered over the garden. He thought of the rare smile he'd seen on Diep, a smile as gentle as a ray of sunlight piercing through the thick winter fog. He silently vowed that he would do something to ease her burdens. Having endured injustice at the hands of the cruel Pao and his spiteful family, she deserved to know that hope and happiness still existed, just as evident in the preparations for Tet that surrounded him. James noticed his workers chatting animatedly about their Tet plans. A middle-aged man with silver-streaked hair eagerly discussing how he'd buy meat to wrap Ban Chong, while a young woman beamed as she talked about new clothes for her child. A profound sense of responsibility welled up inside him, not only for these humble workers, but also for Diep, the resilient soul who was silently fighting the scars of her past. Returning to Tao, his tone remained warm yet resolute. "Please send my regards to Lin's family. If they need anything, let me know. I'm here to help, so Lin doesn't have to worry about a thing." Tao smiled behind her glasses. "Of course, boss. I'll pass the message along. I'm sure Lin will be touched." With that, James left the store and drove to the nearby woodshop, where he met a young manager named Tuan. As his vehicle glided along the dusty red road, the cold wind tousled Tuan's hair. The woodshop stood amid expansive fields, its sound of saws cutting through wood forming a steady rhythm like a labor anthem. The scent of fresh timber mingled with the earthy aroma drifting from the nearby fields. Stepping out from a small tin-roofed shack, Tuan greeted James with a sun-weathered smile. "Good morning, boss. Have you been waiting long?" James smiled gently, his voice warm and deep. "I just got here. Let's get straight to business. How many days off do you plan for the workers?" Tuan replied confidently, "We're planning on 2 days off, boss." James thought for a moment and said, "Give them 1 extra day. Make it 3 days so they can truly spend time with their families." Tuan nodded. "Yes, boss." Then James asked, "How about the Tet bonus?" Tuan consulted his notebook and said clearly, "I calculated it to be 3,500,000 VND per person for our 30 workers, totaling 105 million VND. James tapped the steering wheel thoughtfully. "Increase it by another 1,500,000 VND, making it 5 million VND per person. It's Tet. Let's make sure they celebrate joyfully." Tuan agreed. "Understood, boss. I'll adjust it right away." James continued, "There are 2 workers from disadvantaged families, right?" Tuan confirmed. "Yes, one whose father is in the final stages of cancer, and another whose mother suffered a severe accident and is hospitalized." With a tinge of sorrow in his deep eyes, James said, "Make sure to visit them and provide each family with 10 million VND. Even if they take time off, they'll still receive full pay. If you need anything more, just let me know. I won't let them suffer any longer." Tuan jotted down the notes, his voice filled with gratitude. "Absolutely, boss. You're so thoughtful." Handing Tuan a red envelope, James added, "Here's your Tet bonus for the Western New Year. I'll add extra for Lunar Tet later." Tuan's eyes lit up. "Thank you, boss." In a firm tone, James reminded him, "I'm very busy, so make sure the woodshop runs smoothly. I don't want any mistakes," before departing with a light heart, satisfied with how well he had taken care of his team. James drove back to his farm, located a few kilometers from Tanmin village, a place where rows of vibrant cabbage stretched under the gentle winter sun like a lush green carpet amid the seasonal fields. The cold wind carried the scent of moist earth and fresh vegetables, prompting him to take a deep, satisfying breath of his homeland's peace. Parking by a simple wooden fence, James stepped out, rubbing his hands to warm them against the biting chill seeping through his thick coat. Surveying the neatly irrigated garden, he admired the hard work of his diligent workers, thinking how fortunate he was to have such dedicated people. Deciding to harvest the cabbages for the local grocery store, he wielded a knife and began to make clean, decisive cuts. In just a few minutes, he had gathered a bounty of cabbages, the fresh aroma eliciting a smile from him. He thought, "Diep is probably working out there too. I should tidy up the farm to ease her burden. She deserves a moment of rest." He set to work, repairing a leaky water pipe with a few temporary ties, watering the parched vegetable beds with an old, well-worn watering can, each droplet echoing softly as it hit the earth. As he labored, a warm thought filled him. Doing these small tasks for the woman he loved brought him immense happiness. Meanwhile, after a long day in the fields, Diep returned to the farm just as the sunset painted the sky in soft oranges and reds, a serene canvas. Her weary legs carried her along the bumpy dirt path into the courtyard. She paused in surprise at the sight of the newly built sturdy wooden shed and of James wiping his hands with an old cloth. His face, speckled with a bit of dust, was nonetheless lit by a beaming smile as he greeted, "You're back." Emotion welling in her eyes, Diep whispered, "You did all of this for me?" James nodded and stepped closer, his voice gentle. "Yes, I just got back. Today the workers are off for Tet. I had some free time, so I figured I'd tidy up a bit to make things easier for you after such long days in the fields." Diep looked around at the neatly irrigated garden and orderly shed, her eyes glistening with unshed tears as warmth spread through her heart. "I'm so happy, it's all so perfect. Thank you so much." With a kind wave of his hand, James replied, "It's nothing. I just don't want you to be overworked." Diep continued softly, "Today I even harvested cabbages at your farm. They're so big and the workers did a fantastic job. It fills my heart with joy." James smiled brightly. "The soil here is so rich, and they know how to care for the crops well. Are you tired?" Shaking her head, Diep clutched her thin sleeves and said, "Not at all. I've already bought some food. Why don't you join me for a meal? I want to thank you properly." James agreed warmly. "Sure, I'll finish up a bit and be right back." He left momentarily, his steady steps echoing on the dirt path, while Diep watched his departing figure fade behind the fence, her heart feeling a warmth she'd never known before. She silently vowed, "He's truly kind. Never did I think I'd have someone care for me like this." Later that evening, on New Year's Eve, James returned holding a bouquet of vibrant red faux flowers and a handful of sparkling balloons. With a joyful tone, he exclaimed, "Happy New Year, Diep! I couldn't get fresh peach blossoms, so I made do with these for now." Together, they hung the balloons on a small wooden tree by the house. The soft glow of oil lamps inside the modest wooden home bathed the space in a warm light that battled the biting chill of the night. After preparing a simple meal that filled the air with the inviting aroma of home-cooked food, James settled on an old bamboo chair, tired yet happy, and said, "I'm a bit tired. Would you mind getting me a drink?" Diep handed him a cup of warm water and, in a gentle tone, asked, "You've worked so hard today. By the way, these peach blossoms are beautiful. Where did you get them?" Pointing into the distance with a playful smile, James replied, "I picked them up at the village market. They looked pretty enough, even if they aren't the real deal." Diep nodded, her eyes glistening as she admired the shimmering bouquet under the soft light. With a trembling voice she confided, "Thank you, sir. I never dreamed a day like this could come after the darkness, after all that Pao did, after his family shamed and abandoned me without a penny. You've changed everything, bringing me days like these." Taking her hand, James's warmth transferred through his grasp, and in a soft, reassuring tone, he said, "I know your past is painful. You've been treated so terribly, but now that I'm here, you don't have to be sad anymore, okay?" Diep wept softly, her tears mingling with a shy smile. "I never dared dream of this day, thank you." Gently wiping away her tears, James murmured, "Promise me, no more tears, only smiles from now on." Diep nodded, her heart overflowing with happiness, as if a tiny oil lamp had finally dispelled the long-held darkness. Just then, local children burst into the yard, their laughter ringing out like chimes in the cool air. James cheerfully called, "Hey kids, come on in and get your lucky envelopes." He handed them red envelopes, their small hands reaching out eagerly as he added warmly, "I wish you a healthy, obedient and smart new year. Always listen to your parents and grandparents." The children giggled and chorused, "May you both be together forever and be happy always." Diep smiled softly, pulling out a bag of candies from a corner to share with each one, her voice tender, "Oh, you sweet little ones. You're as pure as the spring sunshine." They all gathered around for a meal, a simple feast of steaming white rice, boiled vegetables, and a bit of braised meat, which, despite its simplicity, radiated a heart-warming glow as they celebrated the new year like one big family amid the winter's chill. Just as joy filled the air, James's father returned, a looming test for their newfound happiness. Would he accept Diep and this unconventional love? Find out in episode 24, where the answer to this pivotal challenge will finally be revealed.
Đôi tay gầy guộc ôm lấy mình để xua đi cái lạnh của cơn gió sớm. Cô cúi xuống nhìn Haki, chú chó đang bẫy đuôi bên chân cô, và mỉm cười yếu ớt. Haki, bạn đã đói chưa? Cô hỏi với giọng dịu nhẹ nhàng như nói với một người bạn thân thiết. Cô lấy chút thức ăn căn bếp nhỏ xuống, đặt xuống quan sát Haki ăn ngấu nghiến với đôi mắt long lanh. Nhìn chú chó, cô cảm thấy lòng nhẹ nhõm hơn một chút, nhưng nỗi dây dứt về giam vẫn không ngừng gõ cửa tâm hồn cô. Mình đã từ chối anh ấy, nhưng tại sao là mình đại đâu như thế này? Cô tự hỏi, tay vô thức siết chặt mép áo rách như thể muốn bám víu một điều gì đó không thể chìm vào hố sâu cảm xúc. Cô thức dậy quyết định bắt đầu ngày mới bằng công việc quen thuộc, nấu ăn cho Haki, chăm sóc vườn.